Germany were not just beaten by Austria on Tuesday night, they were flattened. Marcel Sabitzer and Christoph Baumgartner scored in a 2-0 win in Vienna, and Leroy Sané was needlessly sent off, yet the evening might have been much, much worse for the Germans. The result will sting for their coach Julian Nagelsmann, who was managing his country for just the fourth time. This was his second defeat in 4 days, having also lost 3-2 against Turkey in Berlin. Worse, it was inflicted by Ralf Rangnick, who mentored Nagelsmann. Rangnick was the architect of the Hoffenheim structure, in which Nagelsmann first came to national prominence. He was later so determined that Nagelsmann was the right head coach for Leipzig that he stepped back into the technical area himself just to allow Nagelsmann to join. So, there is much to connect them. At the moment, however, and as this game so vividly showed, they are inhabiting different coaching worlds. Austria have momentum. The ultra-conservative football has been left behind since Rangnick was appointed. Over his 19 months, the Austrian national team has often played quickly with ambition, with the effect not just of qualifying, but generating a swell of optimism along the way. Germany are generating very little. They are muddled and out of form, and as disconnected with their public as at any point during the modern era. Germany doesn't care about Germany. Some historically bad tournament performances, scandal in governance and poor technical decisions have conspired to create a hardened indifference. Yet if I had said all of this back in 2014 when Germany were champions of the world, you would have laughed. Germany are the most successful nation in international football history. They are true footballing royalty, but the last 7 years have been nothing short of a disaster for the nation in footballing terms. Following triumph in 2014, they lost at the semi-finals of the 2016 Euros, a perfectly fine finish, but in 2018 they were dumped out of their group with just one win, finishing bottom place, and in the 2022 World Cup exited at the group stages yet again, also with just one win. Germany have won just 6 of their last 22 games, and in the year 2023 they have played 11 games, won 3, drawn 2 and lost 6. They have been outside the top 10 of the FIFA rankings for the last 4 years and currently sit in 16th below Switzerland, Morocco, Mexico and the USA. For most of us, this is completely from the norm, as we grew up with Germany as a winning machine. So what exactly has happened to Germany to have such a dramatic fall-off? Let's take a look. The first place to start is to identify one of the main problems with this current squad: talent. Now this German team has talented players. It actually has a lot of players who some people would consider world class. But the problem is how disproportionately that talent has been distributed. This current German era has produced some sensational midfielders: Kroos, Gundogan, Goretzka, Kimmich, Musiala, Wirtz, Brandt. I could go on and on. But you look up top and they're relying on Nicholas Füllkrug, who was playing second tier football just 2 years ago. And defensively, besides Rudiger, they're an absolute shambles. And even have resorted to playing Kai Havertz left back, which kind of sums up how the talent lacks in many parts of the squad. It also lacks leadership and mentality. The German national team is so synonymous with a never-say-die attitude and proper leaders who win at all costs. The likes of Lahm, Schweinsteiger, Beckenbauer, Matthäus, and so many others. Yet in this side, it looks very weak. Maybe Kimmich is the only one I think has that mentality. This is probably the most unbalanced German squad I've ever seen. Although, maybe this decline was coming, as if we look back at that 2014 World Cup winning side, only one player from that side remains in the national side, and that's Matthias Ginter. Basically, that entire squad are all now retired from international football or at the end of their careers. 2014 was a perfect culmination for that German squad, as most of those players were either in their peak or not too far from hitting it. So by the time the 2018 World Cup rolled around, the team was a blend of players coming towards the end of their careers and players emerging as the next generation who just weren't good enough yet. And what hasn't helped that smooth transition from that generation to this one is the early retirement of players like Toni Kroos, the rapid and unexpected career downfall of players like Mario Götze and Max Meyer, who were meant to be the stars of this current team, and the internal conflict with the Federation and Bayern Munich, where Müller, Boateng and Hummels were exiled from the squad. Even at right back, the transition from Lahm to Kimmich seemed great, but Kimmich has developed into a midfielder, now causing fullback issues. So clearly, the transition was not smooth and has left many gaps in this current German squad, which is, I guess, a short-term reason why this team is not doing well. But the question is, why have Germany produced so many midfielders and produced zero fullbacks, barely any top-class centre-backs and no strikers since 2014? Well, if we look at how the youth teams have done, it tells a damning story. In the 2023 Under-21 Euros, Germany finished bottom of their group, below Israel and the Czech Republic, with just one win. Their Under-20 team didn't even qualify for the 2019 and 2023 Under-20 World Cups. The Under-17 did win the Euros this year, which does give some hope, but still, the youth teams have been an absolute shambles. Also, at club level, the youth development has been shocking. The last time a German side made it to the semi-finals of the Champions League, Youth League, was 2019, and no German side has ever reached the final of the competition, which is very, very poor considering Bayern Munich are one of the biggest teams in the world, and teams like Dortmund as well are known for youth development. But Germany have recognised this as a major problem and have started to change the format of youth football completely. From next season, German kids football will be on small pitches playing 7v7 using 4 mini-goals, almost FIFA Street style. This is a major change to encourage the skills and technical ability of kids, but this is the problem and reason for the downfall. It's too late. Germany has lagged behind in youth coaching, and this reform, as I've just said, is great, but Spain did this 20 years ago. Same with France, who have played 2v2 tournaments every weekend at youth level, and it's no surprise why they have so many amazing dribblers now, with the likes of Ousmane Dembele, Kingsley Coman and Kylian Mbappe. Now, to be fair, Germany do have some good dribblers as well right now, but still, Germany in general have been focusing too much on building athleticism and in-game tactics at youth level, which has limited their players' developments. And if you think I'm making this up, well, here's some more stats that prove how youth development and training has been outdated from the Germans. So if you look at the number of players playing in the top 5 leagues produced by youth academies, Spain and France have both 7 clubs in the top 25, while Germany have just 2. And Bayern and Dortmund aren't even in there as well, which is even more worrying, as so many great players used to be produced by these clubs for the German national team. But now they are buying young talent from abroad instead of developing their own, us into the next big factor, which is the Bundesliga. Now, I'm not going to sit here and trash the Bundesliga because it's a league I actually really enjoy and have a lot of respect for. However, when we look at the facts, it's not good reading. German clubs have not fared well in the last 7 years in Europe, and it's no coincidence in the last 7 years the national team has declined. Since 2020, no German team has gone beyond the quarterfinals. Last year, Bayern were the only team at the quarterfinals, and the same the year before. And of course, Bayern have won 11 years in a row, which does not stimulate good competition at the top of the Bundesliga. And when we look back to 2014, the Bundesliga picture was so different. Yes, Bayern won back-to-back Bundesliga titles, but that's nothing compared to the 11 in a row we're on right now. Borussia Dortmund had won the league back-to-back in 2011 and 2012, and during these 4 years, Wolfsburg finished second, Schalke finished third multiple times, Mönchengladbach finished third, and so did Bayer Leverkusen. Compared to now, where the top 3 for the last 5 seasons have been Dortmund, Bayern and Leipzig for all but 1 year, only Leverkusen have broken into the top 3 during the last 5 years. If we look at the European record as well back then, well, it's much better. In 2012, Bayern reached the final, with Leverkusen also reaching the knockouts. 2013, Bayern won the competition in all German final with Dortmund, and Schalke also made the knockouts. And in 2014, Bayern made the semi-finals, Dortmund made the quarterfinals, and both Schalke and Leverkusen reached the knockouts. So clearly the Bundesliga quality has dropped off massively, and it has become a less competitive league. I will say I think it's getting better now, but in the last 7 years it's been really poor, and that has not helped the national team. Another part of this is something I mentioned earlier, and is a lot of German players are not being given a chance by the Bundesliga clubs, at least the top ones. Bayern, Dortmund, Leipzig, Leverkusen all have been praised for their talent development and selling players like Erling Haaland, Jadon Sancho, Upamecano, Werner, Bellingham, Pulisic, Szoboszlai, Gvardiol, Havertz, Diaby. I could go on and on for major fees. But if you noticed, of all of those names I just mentioned, I just listed about 10. Only 2 were German, Kai Havertz and Werner, and both turned out to actually not be very good. You see, the problem is these clubs invest heavily in scouting and recruit top talents from across the world and place them into their youth ranks and teams. For example, Pulisic and Gio Reyna were first put into the under-19 squads at Dortmund. Now this causes problems because these players are blocking the pathway of other German homegrown talents in the under-19 squad. Now, clubs in the Bundesliga have heavily increased this process because it's a good business model, as they can introduce a player like Pulisic into the youth ranks, develop and grow him, bring him into the first team, and then flip him for £60 million. Now, while this is good for the club, and they have no obligation to develop German players for the national team, it has dramatically affected the development of German talents. Moving a little bit away from this, something that has caused the decline, which may sound really stupid, but hear me out on this one, is winning. Germany have always won. In the 80s, the 90s, they always won. Always got foreign competitions, no matter what. Even when Germany did not have the best players or the best squad compared to other nations, they always found a way to win. And that was the same for the 2014 team. They found a way to win even when many tipped Argentina or Brazil to do better. In that tournament, Joachim Löw started with a bit of an adventurous lineup and system, using Lahm in midfield with Özil, Müller and Götze as a fluid front three. But after a 119th minute extra time win versus a very poor Algeria side, Löw switched to a more pragmatic win-now strategy and put Lahm at right back, brought in Khedira and used a proper number 9 summed up the problems of the German culture, the win now culture and pragmatism to change the style and philosophy in order to win has caused us to get to the point where we are now. German fans expected their team to win every single game and win every tournament, and this obsession with winning has stopped talent development because they are always in win now mode, and when they failed to win, they were in a crisis. So that's why after 2014, expectations of the team were still to win, and it caused Joachim Löw to experiment a lot less with his teams and not try out more modern tactics, develop a fluid philosophy, use younger players in his team, and it's not helped develop a style of play. When Pep came to Bayern, all the German teams and the youth and senior teams decided they should all play tiki-taka, as that was the new winning method. When France won the World Cup in 2018, they started to copy the training methods of the France national team in youth development. You see, this lack of German philosophy in terms of a style of play has really hurt the side, and this all stems from the win now culture. You look at this German side right now, they lack any sort of identity, and a lot of that is due to years of just winning games, winning tournaments instead of developing as a nation. So while winning has been a gift, it has also been a bit of a curse. So to summarise, the demise of the German national team is due to various factors: the declining competitiveness of the Bundesliga, the poor youth development, the lack of a clear identity, the pressure to win, the poor transition from 2014, and many other factors have affected the side. But look, luckily a lot of these issues Germany have recognised and are trying to solve, with new youth centres being set up, changes to the training methods, and a German style of play being implemented. But these changes will take a very long time to make a big change. In the short term, Germany and Julian Nagelsmann must focus on setting this German side up, rather contradictingly, as a win-now team. They have a home Euros in 6 months' time, where they are embarrassed and knocked out in the groups. This would be the biggest disaster in German football. So Nagelsmann needs to find a way to set the team up just to get through the tournament, avoid any embarrassment, because that's the last thing they need after the last 2 World Cups. Hopefully after that, then the true rebuild can start, and a new style of play can be implemented, young players can be developed better, and given more chances by Bundesliga clubs, and then maybe Germany will be back to their best. But let me know your thoughts on the Germany situation. If there's any Germans watching, I would love to hear your insight. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the